I'm Miss Soros.
I'm Miss Cook.
I'm Dana. I'm Kateria.
And I'm Mariam.
Camera, ladies.
Camera woman, Ariana.
We are
The
Conrad Book Club.
Many minds, but always one story at a time.
Thank you guys for tuning into our debut podcast. Woo! We are the Conrad Book Club here at Emmett J. Conrad High School. I am here with a brilliant set of students who love to engage with thrilling tales. And so, Miss Cook, would you like to share the theme of our book club for this school year?
Of course, Miss Soros. I would love to. All right, so our theme this year is the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. You know, you like that? You like that? Yes. All right, so what that means essentially is that the most important things are like what we feel and what we care about, right? And not what our appearances are or what happens on the outside. Okay, so I realized that it relates to the story specifically, thinking about Doodle and like his physical ailments, and then even just how hard his brother was on him. And then even though it didn't go perfectly, we can see moments in the story where we can tell that the brother loves Doodle, right? It may not be the most healthy way of showing it, but we can see love, okay? So I think about like when the brother is pushing Doodle to walk, right? Because he really wants Doodle to have a good life, right? You know, to be well off, but he just doesn't know how to go about it, right? That's the kind of positive look at the theme, right? And then we have a more of a negative side that it shows when it's talking about like his pride, because now he finds himself embarrassed about his brother and his physical ailments, right? So if you just think about kind of like that deep care and those emotions that go into that, it circles right back to our theme, right? So in paragraph 24, it says, I did it for myself, that pride, whose slave I was, spoke to me louder than all their voices, right? So if you're a slave to something, right, you're saying that it has a strong hold on you. So if you're giving that much power to something, then the brother almost felt like he couldn't help it. So the story just shows us that those heart motives, again, that love and pride, can create life and also cause destruction.
Very well.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we have some good, I feel like, background information coming up. I'd like to learn a little more about Mr. Hurst. Dana, could you give us a little segue?
Of course, Miss Cook. So, James Hurst was an American writer who lived from 1922 to 2013. And The Scarlet Ibis was one of his most famous works, you know. But he wrote other pieces and worked with teachers for many years.
Ooh, shout out to teachers.
Yay! So, for some context that might have, inspired, this nameless narrator to do like what he did to Doodle. The Scarlet Ibis is set in the American South, in the 1910s. And this was a time and place, where family, pride, and traditional values were important. So you can see how pride was such a big emotion or feeling that drove him to do such stuff, because having your family to look, important or such like that, or to be raised to a high value, could have been a very important thing for him,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So also, which leads to the narrator's psychological profile, right? While I wasn't able to found in the short story, we can infer certain aspects of his personality, beliefs, and emotional depth based on his writings, from the author. For example, infer psychological traits of James Hurst based on his life and work. Sensitivity and empathy. Hurst's storytelling, especially in The Scarlet Ibis, reveals a deep sensitivity themes to brotherhood, pride, and loss. His ability to invoke emotional responses and suggests he was empathetic. Reflectiveness. The story also explores complex feelings, for example, guilt and human condition, indicating that hers was reflecting and thoughtful about human nature and personal relationships.
That's good.
Literary and artistic depth. His writing also demonstrates a poetic and vivid imagination, suggesting that he was creative and he appreciated symbolism and metaphor.
Yes, we get back to that, yes.
And last but not least, possible personal experiences with loss or family, with speculative themes in the Scarlet Ibis such as brotherly love, pride, and tragedy, may mirror personal experiences or insights into familial relationships.
That's good. Into relationships. So well said, Dana.
Alright, so Doodle character development. Doodle begins his story as a physical, weak, and fragile child who's not expected to live. Despite his disabilities, he shows determination and a strong will to survive. With encouragement often driven to his brother's pride, Doodle learns to walk and continues to push himself beyond his limits. As he grows, he reveals kind, sensitive, and imaginative personality. However, his physical limitations never fully disappear, and the pressure to meet his brother's expectation ultimately leads to tragedy. Doodle's development highlights both his brother's inner strength and the dangers of pride and unrealistic expectations.
Ooh.
That's good.
I was saying, I like that you brought that up, talking about like that tragedy and just like those sibling relationships. Kateria, I know you're a little sister, right?
Yeah.
All right, how did you feel like as a sibling seeing how the brother treated Doodle?
I felt bad for Doodle because you don't treat a sibling like that. Like, even if y'all don't get along, you still don't do it for like your own pleasure, for your own pleasure, And in Doodle's condition, like, the brother knew about his condition, Like, he just didn't just didn't know.
Right.
But like, he still like ended up forcing his brother to do a bunch of stuff, which is still wrong. And it ended up in Doodle dying and leaving the brother with regret. So I'm gonna go into the sibling relationship dynamic that they both had between Doodle and the narrator. So it is shaped by love, pride, and guilt, and regret. The narrator shows love when he celebrates Doodle's smile in paragraph 4 before trying to kill him, and gives him the nickname Doodle in paragraph 6. Many of the memories feel warm and loving, though the narrator only fully appreciates them too little too late. Pride plays a major role, seen through paragraph 20 when he says, "Pride is a wonderful, terrible thing." He teaches Doodle to walk, not just out of care, but because he's embarrassed to have a disabled brother. His selfish pride leads him to push Doodle too hard, ignoring his conditions. After Doodle dies, the narrator is overwhelmed with guilt, especially in the final line when he cries and shelters Doodle's body, comparing him to a fallen Scarlet Ibis that was mentioned in paragraphs 33 to 39. Lastly, regret. He regrets how he treated his brother when he was pushed to his max by the narrator and leaving him behind when the storm came. Their deep emotional connection runs through the entire story, showing how love mixed with selfish intention can lead to both meaningful and tragic consequences. So, I'm also gonna go into the narrative perspective. I know I have a lot, but it's just like I'm
You're
just
doing
going
great. You're carrying this. I'm loving it.
So, the story is in first person since the narrator is using I, me, and my. The narrator is Doodle's older brother, who we don't know the name of, but he is telling the story when he's an adult now, looking back at the events from his childhood. We only see the narrator's thoughts and speaks, but nothing about his brother Doodle's thoughts or say in the story, like in an afterthought, like when he's about to die, And the narrator is remembering these events from his past by a tone and reflectiveness in the text filled with regret. He isn't just telling a random story you find like in a newspaper, like those little comics that they have, or like some like little stories that they have on the side, Like, it's about the narrator, like how he feels about it years later when he's an adult, adding depth into the story's meaning.
Well said. I like that. Kind of like a memoir.
Yeah.
A personal experience. Well, I feel like that's the perfect segue to kind of go into those metaphorical interpretations. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to acknowledge was like the symbolism, almost with the Scarlet Ibis as Doodle. Okay, so they're both seen as rare or fragile and even out of place. So the Scarlet Ibis dies far from home, and then Doodle dies after he's running essentially for his life, but away from home. All right, and just thinking of paragraph 39, that connection, how many miles it had traveled to die like this in our yard? Those parallels to Doodle's struggles in the world that was just too harsh on him, right? And then even pride as that double-edged sword, when you're seeing it in paragraph 20. Pride is a wonderful, terrible thing. We heard you talk about that earlier. That bears two vines, life and death. So going back to even our theme, like the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart, right? The pride isn't what is important to us at the end, right? So the brother's pride with trying to teach Doodle these life skills is what ultimately leads to that destruction. So the storm, I feel like we can't talk about the metaphors without getting to the storm, right? So the storm seems like it symbolizes the brother's anger, like his frustration, like that turbulence, right? And those uncontrollable forces of life, right? So I just feel like the symbolism in this story is just so powerful, right?
Yeah.
Aside from the Scarlet Ibis itself, what other impactful symbolism did you find, Dana?
Well, Miss Cook, I found quite a few, but adding a little bit more to the Scarlet Ibis as Doodle, because that's such a big, symbol in the story. The color red is a very important detail because the Scarlet Ibis color is red, right? And, colors like red will be associated with passion and love. But in the Scarlet Ibis, Doodle's aunt links the color, especially red in birds, as bad luck. But colors like the color red can also be associated with negative emotions, such as danger, death, and anger. And like you said, Miss Cook, anger could be a symbolism to the upcoming story at the end of the short story, which represents the narrator's anger,
Yes, the storm guys connection.
I also found Doodle touching his casket as a big symbol that impacts the story, as in paragraph 10 of the short story, narrator shows Doodle his casket, right? And once close to his casket, an owl comes out, and in many cultures, owls are seen as omens of bad luck or even death, which is a slight foreshadowing, And for more background knowledge about the owl, in paragraphs 11 to 14, the narrator tells Doodle, right, to touch his casket, but Doodle refuses. But the narrator then threatens to leave him behind. And after the narrator tells this to Doodle, in paragraph 14, Doodle says, "Don't leave me, brother," which later on in the story, in paragraph 45, when the narrator leaves Doodle behind in the storm, Doodle also says, "Brother, don't leave me."
That emotional connection, that repetition.
Wow. And Miss Cook, speaking of emotional connections, let's talk about the emotional impact and the ethical considerations in this short story, guys. So in paragraph 49, it highlights the moment when the narrator experiences a paradigm shift in his life. So in this paragraph, the narrator, he's weeping as he cradles his dead brother in his arms, and this creates a somber and reflective mood for us, the readers.
Yes.
So I believe that this nameless narrator's life was forever changed when he lost his brother. So we can rightfully infer that the nameless narrator must have grappled with the consequences of his actions for quite some time after that event. So guys, death, loss, tragedy likely led the narrator to a period of profound introspection, and death, loss, and tragedy leads anyone to a time of profound introspection. So I know that I was left inspecting my heart and my motivations after reading this tragic account.
That's so well said. I love that introspection, the diction, Miss Torres. But that notion of those emotions, I feel like the emotional roller coaster is something that we have to address when it comes to those negative feelings, because they were so prevalent to the story, right? But I love the excitement that I felt for Doodle once he was finally able to walk. Because when he learned, I felt excited for him because he thought it was something that he'd never be able to do, right? So it seemed like a miracle moment that gave Doodle hope. Right, but that joy, that's also what makes it hurt so much more at the end when you read the brother, again, cradling Doodle's body and comparing it to the fallen Scarlet Ibis. So in paragraph 49, it says, sheltering my fallen Scarlet Ibis from the hearsay of the rain. Right, so this story makes me think of just like the consequences of love being mixed with pride and how we end up hurting the people that we really care about. Sorry, that was just a word. We have to talk about the personal interpretations after we talk about the emotional. Right? So how does this story make you think about sibling relationships? Like family expectations or even pride? Because for myself as a big sister, I couldn't imagine like being embarrassed of them for anything, let alone something that was out of their control. Right? So my family's expectations are that we love one another unconditionally. There's no place for pride in love.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you.
Never mix those two.
Right, okay. So I just want to think, like, have you seen a time where your motives of pride and love have clashed?
Well, sometimes in my love, I've mostly never seen pride and love take over me. But I do see pride taking over me because if I wanted to achieve, I'll become obsessed to achieve whatever I want. But also my love for this can also be hurtful because of the amount of pride that I have in my mind.
Well said. Thank you for letting us in.
Wonderful. And the narrator states something in paragraph 20. Pride is a wonderful, terrible thing. Let's talk about that. So this text grapples with the subject of pride. And there's positive pride, which is when you feel the profound sense of accomplishment for what you've done or what somebody else has done that's associated with you, and you just feel good, right? And then there's negative pride, when your ego has taken over. And so the narrator grapples with negative pride throughout the text. So the crazy thing is that even though on the outside it seems as if his actions were good, his heart posture and his motives were wrong. It was all about how he would look as the older brother. And so personally, guys, I know that I have to be intentional every day to allow positive pride and love to drive my decisions. I have to allow only positive pride to rate it.
For me, it has come out with some of my friends when they ask me for advice, and my pride goes up, and it goes, and like if it goes amazing, like if it goes wonderful for them. But if it goes bad, so do my feelings go down, and I don't care about my feelings anymore. I care more about my friends because they had such a bad advice from me, a bad experience and a bad advice that I gave them,
Wow, you're such a thoughtful friend, Katia.
Yes, you know it, Nana.
Yeah.
You too, Mario.
Yeah, okay.
So what do you think Hurst wanted us to learn about the matter of the heart? Well, I think that Hurst wanted us to see that the matter of the heart is about love, pride, and compassion. In Scarlet Ibis, the brother learns too late that pride can push love aside. And true care for someone means valuing them as they are, not as what they want them to be.
Yes.
Very well said for me.
Okay, so guys, thank you for joining us today. Make sure to read The Scarlet Ibis by James Hurst. Stay tuned for our next episode.
And I want to address our YouTube peeps. Don't forget to like, subscribe, read The Scarlet Ibis, and comment your thoughts below on the short story. We want to know. And guys, always remember to read, reflect, and repeat.
And we cannot forget our lovely camera woman.
Yeah!